Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Pillow Talk Unplugged. And tonight, so let me just explain before we get started. Tonight, my co-host was not feeling at her best, and so she was not able to do the show tonight. But my good girlfriend Lynette, all the way from Richmond, saved the day. So she came on tonight. I'm gonna let her just go ahead and introduce herself, but she came on to go ahead and let's have fun with this topic tonight. I can't wait to get into it. So go ahead and introduce yourself, love.
Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Lynette, and um, I'm so happy to pretty much be here. Thank you for inviting me. I have three children. I have 18-year-old, I have an 8-year-old, and a 9-year-old, my dolls, and I'm just a mom 24/7.
I know that's right, and she does really well with her children. From as long as I have known Lynette, we got some years in, don't we? It's funny
Yeah, we
because
did.
we knew each other but didn't know each other. We
Yeah,
met
yeah,
through
we
a
did.
we met through a mutual friend, and we saw each other, but then nothing was of that. And then we came back years later, and then now we're friends, right? Isn't that something?
Exactly. And the part that was really funny about it is the fact that we knew each other, didn't know each other, and didn't realize that we were the ones that actually knowing each other. I'm like, oh, that was you because we actually physically, I guess, met through the mutual friend, but we talked online.
Right.
So it was just so hilarious that we were talking this whole entire time and didn't even realize it was each other. So
Yeah, look at
it was
that.
like a match made in heaven.
Right, because we are something together and we have fun conversations. So tonight it'll just be like two girlfriends having a conversation about the stressors of the fourth year. Okay. So, all of my viewers, I'm going to try to maneuver back and forth between platforms because I have it on both of my platforms tonight just to make sure I'm getting everyone's comment. So, if you are in the chat tonight, make sure you drop a line or two just to let us know that you're here. But this year, okay, and it's the reason why I call it the fourth year because it seemed like I don't know if you can agree, Lynette. It seemed like every fourth year there's some high anxiety when it comes to election. Like,
Yeah, it is. I think election kind of brings out the truth and the bold out of everyone. So it just shakes up everything,
right. And it just
literally.
literally like people are walking on edge. Businesses are, I've seen within this particular year, I have seen a change in a lot of things. Okay. So we're going to get
Mhm.
deep into this. And I have talked to several people. Before the time of voting, up until the day of voting, and then actual after the voting. And I mean, the amount of things that I have seen on the actual social media was crazy, right? So I was just like, this was really like a real thing, right? A real thing.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it
okay,
is.
so all right, so to start from here, let's talk about it. Okay. So up until voting,
Yeah.
okay, I want to share. Okay, before we get to the actual day. So, up until the time that we voted, right?
Hmm.
What was your initial like feelings up until that time? Like, let's touch on that because I'm gonna tell you
Whew.
mine, but I'll let you talk about yours.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. Honestly, up until my initial reaction,
Mm-hmm.
when him, Trump,
Okay.
I will say the name,
Uh-huh.
when he was declared a winner,
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much felt a wave of disbelief.
Okay.
I'm telling you, girl, I feel like it just pretty much just washed over me.
Mm-hmm.
It was like time actually just kind of stood still for a
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe. I'm like, what in the world just happened?
Right.
I actually remember just going on my phone, pressing refresh, refresh, refresh. Like, what in the world? Like, this has got to be. Uh, it can't be real, basically. Like, how did they
Mhm.
allow this to happen again? Like, what in the world? You
Right.
know?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm
Yeah,
hearing
it's
you. Mm-hmm. Go
terrible.
ahead. I'm sorry.
And then the next day,
Mm-hmm.
I was and I'm pretty sure that everyone can really agree with me that I was
Hmm.
depressed. It
Okay.
was to the point where I didn't want to go to work.
Really?
And yeah, I was just like, I just was kind of like frozen.
Hmm.
And I didn't even feel like getting the kids together for school. But
What?
I thought to myself, I'm like, no, they got to get out of here one way or another. So come on, kids, let's go because y'all are not going to, especially
Right.
the way I'm feeling. No, y'all not
Right.
going to be here either. So yeah,
Right.
it was one of those things where
Uh-huh.
I just couldn't really believe what happened because of
Hmm.
just everything that has happened up until today. I mean, even prior
Hmm.
to this, like, the last thing I knew that, they said that he was going to jail. I'm like, well, what happened to that?
Right.
How do we allow these things to happen? And then what brings me to
Hmm.
the way I feel is just the fact that it almost seems like anyone can go into office, even when you start looking at the
Right.
persons that also applied for the position.
Hmm.
You have a lot of the, I guess, the liberals, and I seen on TV, it looks like an average Joe person. Like he literally
Right.
looks like somebody like my next door neighbor. Like, okay, he's applying for president. It's just,
Right.
girl, it's a lot.
It was, and I know for me, well, I have Nikki, which is a friend of mine, Shaunik Jones. She said, "Hello, ladies," and I
Hey,
had
Tony.
Ashley Twine. Um, if you want some good life insurance, you gotta hit her up. She's on, okay. She will get you straight. She'll let you know what you need, and you'll go from there. So hit up Ashley if you're looking for life insurance. That's something that we don't always talk about in our
Mhm.
community. So it's time, anything could happen. So be prepared. But she said, I didn't go into the office either. Definitely felt super heavy. And that's what I was thinking. Like, it felt like there was like this heavy halo over the world for a minute. And okay, so let me
Yeah.
tell you what I saw. All right. So we were doing, how can I, we were doing like social media,
Mhm.
seeing
Mhm.
half the country cheering Trump on, half the country doing Kamala.
I
I
know.
don't know if anybody was really let me tell you, this election year has been so confusing and
Mhm.
so mixed emotion. I feel like it almost like a defeat, right? So then
Yeah.
after your initial vote, it's like how can you discuss it? So
Yeah.
I made a little thing to go into a family chat. Now, this can affect relationships, friendships, co-workers, like
Mhm.
it affects the whole thing around you, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And I was just like, okay. I went and said, I'm going to vote for Trump because I'm looking at
Mhm.
the economy. I'm looking
Mhm.
at all of these. That's just in my mind right at that moment, because I have
Yeah.
to get those things out of my head. I'm like, I'm trying to think what's the best decision for your family,
Yeah.
what's the best
Exactly.
decision for around you. And it went into, do you need to read articles, you need to look at this, you need to do that, do you believe in this, do you believe in that,
I
I mean,
know.
I was so overwhelmed. I had to
Wow.
log, like, stop communicating because I was like, am I under an attack? Like, wait a
Hmm.
minute, hold on, we're voting. This is a decision, it's not a personality trait. I think
Yeah.
people get the two confused, and then you don't, it feel like you almost don't have a right to your own opinion.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's definitely brings up a lot of division.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because like all you see is red and blue, red and blue, red and blue. And it had me thinking like the Crips and the Bloods. I'm like, it had you think about gangs
Yeah.
and just it just basically, like you said, it brings up the stress every 4 years because it brings division,
Yeah.
the Democrats against the Republicans,
Mhm.
them and they and all of that. So it's like a them against them. And then
Mhm.
when you look at how much fire goes behind everyone's thoughts,
Right.
and then you also think about, like I said, it makes it uncomfortable to have these conversations, even when you
Right.
have conversations with your children, your
Right.
loved ones.
Mhm.
Everybody knows something. You have the older folks. Guess what? They're going to say, "Oh, go ahead and vote for,
Yeah.
Kamala." And here's the thing: a lot of it, like even like at first, I felt like I wasn't even going to vote. Like I don't
Right.
want neither one of them. When you do the research behind her, you do the research behind him, and then you, it's just it again. It brings up a lot of grief because
Mm-hmm.
then there's a lot of anger
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
gets involved. I mean, think about it. Back in the day, people say don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, because these are sensitive subjects
They are.
that does bring up a lot of emotions. So
Right. It
it's
definitely
it's,
was
it's terrible.
emotional. Yeah, it was emotional. It was emotional to the point where even my daughter, she's only, first of all, my daughter's only 15. She don't even have the
Mhm.
right to vote.
Exactly.
But she was under an attack from her friends based on our decision. And I'm just
Exactly.
like, what?
But
And
she's going to follow
right.
your decision,
Mhm.
because her unless she does like her own dig down
Right.
research, but as a 15-year-old girl, she's going to be
Right.
like, what, this is what my mom believes, so what, she makes a valid point,
Mhm.
you know so she's going to follow that trend basically, and it's
Right.
just disheartening how quickly people just became entrenched in their beliefs.
Right.
It's like it girl, it creates a lot of conflicts.
It does. And I don't understand why, because everyone takes it to an emotional level instead of just
Mhm.
stopping and thinking. First of all, can we honestly say that America was going to be okay voting for a woman president?
No, I mean, honestly, I feel that we were already in that moment. I felt that we were already in the waters.
What?
Regardless of who voted for president, just because a woman is in line,
Mm-hmm.
it was already going to be a problem. And then at the same time, there's a double standard, because guess what? Not only is she a woman, she's also black. She's an
Right.
African American woman.
Right.
So, you saw what they did to Obama, and he's a man.
Right. Yeah. And he
So
went through it too.
imagine
Mm-hmm.
now. I'm tell you right now, if Michelle could get in it, that's a whole different woman right there. I'm
I
gonna tell you right now.
know. We probably
You
would have
know,
been a
so
line out the door, girl.
yeah, that thing would
Yeah.
have been. We would still be out there, hoo
Still
ha.
trying to, yeah, justify like to get her in office. But then you have to
Yeah.
think back. Remember, Hillary tried to do this, right?
Again,
And it
another woman.
failed at that
It failed.
point. So I'm wondering that men are not always, and I'm not like attacking men. I'm not. This
Mm-mm.
is not a show to attack anyone. This is just our true feelings about this
Yeah.
whole fourth year of this particular year.
Yeah.
Men don't want to take authority from women because they're
Mm-mm.
in a position to lead, right? So how
Mm-hmm.
would they feel that a woman is telling you, do this, do that, do that, do this is what I want done, blah blah blah. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes like a almost like an authority type of thing. It's
Yes.
not an
I
even
mean,
deal. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
hmm oh no, you're fine. And I was going to say that. Think about
Mhm.
it. Even with the way Trump did his rallies, he targeted he targeted younger
Mhm.
males. That's
Mhm.
how he did his thing. He, like, for those that don't normally vote, like the younger generation. Think about this. Unfortunately, this is a Gen Z generation,
Right.
and he targeted those gentlemen.
Mhm.
Because unfortunately,
Mhm.
they hold the majority. So it's like that's
Right.
how he managed his rallies. He went
Mhm.
after the men.
Right. And it's just sad because the
Yeah.
day after, Lynette, I'm not gonna lie, I was walking around like,
Mm.
oh my God. And everywhere I went,
Yeah.
I mean, that day I had my workout class.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, okay. We didn't really talk about it then. I remember my coach kind of feeling defeated.
Mm-hmm.
So she did share her views on that. I won't go into it because that's something private, but
Yeah.
then I got up, I went to a doctor's appointment, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, we're talking about it here. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my God. And then I had another appointment and we're talking about it there. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying anything this entire time because I'm afraid to say that if I was a voter
Mm-hmm.
of the red side, right? Let's just put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
If I decided that that was my vote, why should
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Mm-hmm.
guilty about it? Why should
You
I feel
shouldn't. Yeah.
internally depressed because I can't go anywhere and talk about how I feel because maybe that was my decision? Again, no one knows
Exactly.
who I voted for because that's not what we're here to share. But it's just
Exactly.
like, what if I was the person that got this man into office, I
Hmm.
would defeat it the
Yeah.
entire day, because I've even went to go get like I get these iron infusions every 3 months, right? Because
Hmm.
I have a low iron. So I get them every 3 months. And so when as soon as I got in there and sat down, I mean, I'm
Hmm.
exhausted because I had went to work out that morning. All I wanted to do was just sleep. I was just running, and
Yeah.
I'm sitting down thinking I was going to go ahead and get like some rest.
Yeah.
This is an hour and a half process. Let me just go ahead and sit down and decompress. Well, I just don't want to hear about his mouth. And I can't,
Mm.
and I'm like,
Okay.
I did not come here to talk about this. I just
Yeah.
want to relax. What's wrong with
Yeah.
you? The whole day felt like it was a disoriented day. Like the day was just, it was just terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I agree with that because
Mm-hmm.
one, you shouldn't feel uncomfortable or even feel like you should be punished for having a view,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what or where your views lie. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just like religion, it's just that how are you going to tell somebody something? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're not walking their path, you're not walking their shoes. It's just one of those things where how can who are you? You can't you can't really dictate somebody else's future and
Right.
how they want their future to go. you
Right.
know
Mm-hmm.
you may want green, I may want red. It doesn't mean that we can't align. We just
Right.
got two different views. I mean,
And
it's
go
like
ahead.
a agree to disagree, basically, and
Right.
move and keep it moving. It's not going to stop me from loving you. It's not going to stop me from caring about you and saying, hey girl, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
We just got two different views. I mean, it's the same thing as somebody may like tall men, somebody may like short. It's a different
View,
view.
a preference, and that's what it is. And
Yeah,
I think people
preference.
got that confused.
Hmm.
So they make it more personal. I've seen things on
Yeah,
Facebook like, oh, if you voted for Trump, don't talk to me. I'm like, so
basically.
our friendship is going
Exactly.
to end because I
Because
decided I wanted to vote for this man because I see other things that you may not be paying attention to. I almost felt like a lot of people wanted Kamala, and I may be wrong, wanted
hmm
her in office because she was a woman of
because she was black.
yeah, so
I
they
hate to say it.
thought finally some women can stand for, and
Yes,
I
that's
keep hearing
it.
everyone say, "Oh, he's taking away our women's rights." I'm like, where?
Yeah, I haven't read anything like that either. So
Yeah.
if I haven't read anything like that. But I think that a lot of times people, unfortunately, when it's almost like if you don't like somebody, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what they're going to say, what they're going to do. They can be the kindest person, but because you don't like them, that's
Mm-hmm.
your viewpoint. That's all you see.
Right.
So it could be, it's one of those things where people will peel anything, any little thing apart just because they don't like it. Like for example, you have a lot of I keep bringing like the older folks because especially the older black people, they're going to vote for you just because you're black. They don't care. That person can literally say, you know what, I'm going to end everything. But
Right.
because and it will be very confusing,
Mm-hmm.
if they didn't. But it's just that's just their views because they're old school. This is how we do it. They go by how we've been doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's really thinking about the bigger picture and things. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you just have to figure out which picture is clearer to you.
To
you
make
know
to make it make all sense. And I've ran into that. I was actually in
hmm
Dollar Tree, and there was an older lady right before. I mean, up until this time, every party you go to, it's a rally. I'm like, can I just come out and have a drink and not have to deal with this? I'm
yeah.
like, it feel like you're almost being bombarded. So I went into the Dollar Tree, and
hmm
I was standing in line minding my business, and the lady was just like, I can't wait to get this over with. And she's older.
hmm
But they go back into this Jim Crow time where things
hmm
weren't so equal then. And I get it, that's going too deep into it, right? So I'm like,
yeah.
let's just look past that. We're in 2024. Nobody's thinking about that. We're moving on, right? But some people
Yeah.
are scarred. They can't move past this time. So she
Exactly.
said to the lady at the register, yeah, well, who you're going to vote for, and have a conversation. And the girl said, I don't share my political views. That's all she
Mm.
said. And the lady was offended. She was like, well, I hope you're doing the right thing
Oh
because you already
gosh.
know what we're going to do because you working here in the Dollar Tree. They ain't going to save you. And I'm looking like, could
What
you
the world?
mind your, yes.
Are
I
you
mean, she
serious? She
went to
literally attacked.
on the,
Nah.
I'm like, can we just buy our stuff and
Can
go?
you check out, please, and keep it
Please.
moving,
This is
please?
not, so that's what I'm saying. I'm like, this whole
You can't.
thing goes back to like all of
You
the,
can't force. I'm sorry. It's
yeah, go
that's just.
ahead.
I don't like when people try to force
Right.
their views on someone else.
Else.
Literally, you can't make somebody care about you. You
Mhm.
can't make somebody like the same thing. If I don't like cheese, then I just don't like cheese. You can't
Right.
force it down their throat. So it's one of those things where you have someone that feels that they're in the right,
Mhm.
but they're going about it in the wrong way.
Yay.
I'm like, if this is what I feel. I feel like if you're
Mhm.
going to have strong emotions about something, use it in the most productive way. Have
Right.
your own rallies, talk
Mhm.
about the movement. Talk about, I mean, when everybody came together with Black Lives Matter, talk about it, share it with other people. Just don't stand there just fussing about it. That's not gonna really that's not productive. Be
Mhm.
productive in what your vision is. So
Right.
sell the vision, for Christ's sake. So it's like
Right.
it's one of those things where if you're
Mhm.
strong about something, be a voice and sell it. But if you're not a part of the movement, there's no point. You
It's
know,
not. And it's like you're
because I don't
fighting.
share mine either. I
I don't
I move in
listen.
silence. I move in I
Because
move
you
in
have
silence.
to, like, after this year, Lynette, I felt like if I said anything wrong, I probably was going to be stoned. Like, that's how
you
I
are
felt.
you gonna be living alone.
I was like,
Everybody
okay,
by
hey, no
yourself.
friends, no nothing. And I'm
No
like, I
nothing.
should
Just
not have,
hanging.
hey, I was like, I should not have to feel like that. And then I'm like, are you thinking about the initial future? People can't even, if you ask them what was the reason why you made that vote, they don't have a
Hmm.
logical reason. They're just
No.
saying because of the standard thing of what you can see, but are you looking deep into it? Right.
Exactly.
So
They're
I
pretty much just channeling their own emotions and they're just
right.
using that. They're holding on to that emotion, but they're not thinking about, they're not looking ahead. They're not asking themselves, like, how do I want my future to look?
Right.
Where are we going in this future? What are we doing? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, right now, I mean, think about it. Food has gone up. I'm like, before you know it, we're gonna have farms. You can't even trust food from the store anymore without feeling like something's gonna be recalled. So it's like we're already heading into a time where it's
Mhm.
it's scary.
It is scary. And that's what I was thinking. I was going to ask you, like, how do you feel for the future? Because if you listen, I'm not speaking on
Hmm.
everybody else's financial burdens, right? That's your
Hmm.
business. But I know for me, having,
Hmm.
solely depending on my business and living as a full entrepreneur, because we get it, that's the American dream, right? America's for
Hmm.
entrepreneurs. So everyone wants to have their own business. And I think it took more of a toll, like the whole business aspect came more after COVID,
Hmm.
right? So everybody was like,
Yeah,
oh,
everybody
they,
had a business.
I mean, they took any little thing and made a business out of it, right? So now
Yeah.
this is what's going on. This year alone, I took a hit. Like I felt
Mm.
like things were so tight,
Yeah, same
not
here.
not feeling like smothered in a sense. If anybody can relate, it's not really like a tight, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? It was just a tight, like,
Hmm.
do I get this gas or go buy my
You're
Starbucks?
questioning. Yes, you're questioning every little dime. Yeah,
Right,
no, hey, that's another thing because
right,
everything is tight. I feel like this year has definitely been a year of, we all say, oh, this is going to be a year of growth. No, this has been a year of challenge and has brought
right.
out a lot of challenges in everyone, whether it's health, money, financials, and just even mental health, well-being. I mean, nowadays, think about it. The
Right.
psychiatrists or therapists that you go to, they're needing therapy now. So
Mhm.
it's really, everything is tight.
It
Everything
is.
is like a squeeze of nickel and dimes right now. So,
It is. It definitely is. And that's why I was just like, are we thinking
mm,
about that? I have here Mrs.
yeah.
Kenyana Nash. Hey love. Thank you for tuning in. I cannot see. Okay, Afton, if you are commenting, honey, you may have to go to my business page because I am not seeing your post. But Afton artists, black men voted for Trump because they fear a woman leading. And
Mm-hmm. And
that's what we
we
were just
accept it.
saying,
Yeah.
right? That women, who's going to be okay with a woman come? I mean, you can't even get away with it in
They
your own household. It's like a toggle. Like, well, I
think
want to lead, but then it's like, okay, what are we leading with?
yes, and when you really think about it, like if you go far and deep, like in even a lot of the third world countries, the
Mhm,
men are the. I mean, think about it, naturally, you hear man is the head of household. They're not. Oh goodness, and that's probably going to bring up a whole different subject as far as
mhm,
just a woman in detail, because we talk about the boss women and everyone that is leadership,
mhm,
equality. It's I
mhm.
mean, unfortunately, it's not as equal as we will
As it would
hope to
want to be.
be.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's
you
not.
know,
And go
the
ahead.
man is the head of the house, so you have the wife, she leads over the children. It kind of goes back to that ancient stepping stone, basically, because
Mhm,
I don't think they can, and this is not to talk about just any man, but I think it's hard when you are a
mhm, mhm.
you feel like you're being oh gosh, what's the word,
Challenged.
yes,
Challenged. Mhm.
yeah, you're being challenged, and the last person you want to be challenged by is the other
Right.
gender, basically. It's almost kind of, it's another word I'm looking for. It's like I'm not gonna say emancipating, that's not the word, but
Right.
it's the definition is when a man feels less of a man because the woman is the head of the house. So it's flipped, basically.
Right.
um when the roles are reversed, it's a lot harder.
It is harder. And let me get to this comment. They're piling. Let me get to them. I'm
Oh,
trying. I try really
sorry.
hard to see, and this is Ashley. I try really hard to see all side of a thing. I actually tried to talk to several Trump supporters to see why they made their decision. Most people did say the economy, but with us still being under Trump's economy plan, I honestly didn't understand that. Also, economists said his plan will send us into a recession. I truly wanted to try to understand why. And you know what? Speaking on that, I know when they were doing the rally, she said the women is the most powerful piece. That was Kenyana. And then we have Mani. This is my co-host sister. She said emasculated. So that's
Yeah,
what I'm.
thank you.
Oh, there it is. She gave you the word. Okay.
Because I'm over saying emancipation. I knew I was trying to, I knew the definition, but I just couldn't get the word out.
Oh no, it's okay. I thought about that because I
Yeah.
remember when Obama, I don't know if anybody remember when Obama was like, wait a minute, Trump was under my plan. Remember that? He was like, he was under my economy plan. So what did he do? But then I turned around and was like, well, it didn't take long for Biden to sink it below zero. So I'm sitting here trying to
Oh,
think like,
that's a whole nother story right there. I
and
don't
I
know what
was just
happened.
like, wait a so you see where all that confusion come into? I'm just like, I
Yeah.
feel like as the richest country in the world, because America
Yeah.
is the richest country. If you look it up, we are the richest country.
Yeah.
A lot of the countries platform off of us, but guess what? We're like treated like the bottom of the barrel, right? We
Hmm.
provide the funds. That's like you have your teenagers, you give them all the money, but they treat you like crap.
They, yeah, yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like, we're providing all of the funds, right? They're upgrading. Like if you go to these other countries, they look good. Like I'm like, wait a minute, we're not even doing that. Like
Yeah.
anybody that has like a traveling experience, they will tell you that some places are more advanced than we are. You know,
Yes.
I'm just like, what the heck? This
I
is
mean, you can go to Japan and they're all advanced. A lot of
crazy.
the
Yeah.
other countries are. They have
Mhm.
just, I'm like, wow, what kind of chair is that? It's just like little
Right.
simple things like that. So,
And they have that based on what we are able to provide. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Because most of this exporting and all this other stuff come through, and importing come through
Yeah.
us. They're able to, like, it's crazy how much we provide for other countries. But then when we need help, we can't get it. We cannot get it.
Yeah.
I'm a family that has family that lives in other countries, right? For
Oh,
the
wow.
longest
Hmm.
time, it hasn't been anything recent, but if they know, they come to us because we can't go
Mm.
to them. So we're constantly the one that have to provide other resources for other countries. So why wouldn't we want a president that is like make America great and keep the money here and tax everybody else so that way we don't
Yeah.
have to worry about being down on our face because we really literally have to pick our own selves up, right?
Yeah, we do.
Candace said Ashley Twain, the studies show that the economy is better under a Democratic leadership. We were under recession when Trump was in office, but people got blinded by $1,400 that we all had to pay taxes. So you
Mm.
see where all of this stuff is coming from? Like it's so many different views and it's so much to talk about, so much to discuss. Now we can't talk about it
Yeah,
because
everything's
America
hushed,
made their
basically.
decision. So now we
Yeah.
have to sit back and wait. They were talking about the
Wait to
um
see what happens.
oh, she said that's not his plan.
No, it's not. Nope.
I don't
You know that's not his plan. I don't know what the plan is, but it's definitely not that. I can tell
I
you
don't
that.
and that's so horrible because it's like what do you do? When I say that this year alone, and I don't know if anyone else can agree, I have
Mhm.
never felt so discouraged
Yeah.
in voting.
Same
Like
here.
any other time I will go to the poll, vote, and we're done.
We'll be the first ones in line. Like literally, as soon as you get off work,
Yep.
we will be out there, be ready to show that sticker. you know.
And
Now it's like,
you're
you
hiding. And
know,
I was just like, and then you have other people checking and then they'll ask you questions like, "Well, who you voted for?" And I'm like, I don't know.
mm-mm. I
I'm
haven't
like,
even voted yet. Just
no,
saying.
I like you don't want to discuss it either way
Yeah.
because you just don't understand. And let me
Yeah.
see. I'm just getting this one thing here. It says, "I encourage you all to read the Project 2025." I keep hearing about that. Okay, so let's touch on Project 2025.
I've
What
never
is
heard of
it?
it. Yeah. What is it?
It. Like everybody, see, that's another thing. So you see how we're both like, what?
Hmm.
We're like deer in the headlights because
I'm
we're
about
trying
ready
to
to
figure out like
Google it.
this
You
25.
know.
Right.
Yeah, I
So it's
want to
like,
know.
right. I swear this whole voting process, I think it basically was off the surface of things and
Hmm.
misconception. Like people didn't have an understanding of what we were really voting for. I think they were just looking at the surface. What do you think?
Hmm.
I don't know. So with your feelings, how do you feel like the future is going to be for you, Lynette, moving forward?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm going to continue to keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that my kids,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I will definitely say
Uh-huh.
is that I am a product of adversity,
Uh-huh.
and with all great adversity comes. Sorry, I'm just laughing, my kids. With any challenge that life throws at you, I mean, all you got to do is just find ways to just kind of keep on pushing forward, basically. So I think as far as with me, I'm just going to, hope for the best, yes, but just also find ways that I can improve my own life.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, this is just a country.
Right.
I'm in charge of my life.
Right.
So I'm going to continue to find ways that I can improve and better myself. Um, you know, as far as like even think about it, even with the food, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
eat healthier, making sure that I read labels and, kind of staying away from a lot of those processed foods because that's where a lot of those bacterias and things are coming from the plants,
Mm-hmm.
from locations where they're processing a lot of these foods that we're eating. So stay away from it. Find ways to really have more whole foods in my system.
Mm-hmm.
Financials. Start uh, studying up on financial literacy,
Mm-hmm.
just ways that I can improve myself. So when the economy goes either up or down or left or right or wherever it decides to go, that I'll be ready and prepared for it, basically.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking too, Lynette, is just being prepared because I
mhm,
think that this time around, a lot of people were very emotional and they made the election very personal.
mm,
Because again, it shouldn't be an initial attack. If you voted for Trump, I'm never talking to you again. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess our friendship is ended or our relationship is ended based on my political view, whatever, you know.
yeah.
It happens, it's life, whatever. You feel how you want to feel. But the thing of it is, at the end of the day, you're right. You do have the control. What can you do to
Mhm.
make it better? So that way, if you know that we're going into a recession, what can you do to not be in a recession? Because here's the thing, they say that our economy was affected, right?
Mhm.
But I have watched myself take my last and buy Starbucks instead of putting it in the bank.
Exactly. Same here.
I didn't have to.
Same here.
I didn't have
Same
to.
here.
But that's something that I wanted right then and now. So are we going to continue to blame? Because the money
Yeah.
is there. It's just how to
We have to
find
take
it and
some
how
type
to
of
do it
accountability.
right.
That's
Accountability.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
then it's other things that go with this, right? So then there's other places that's taking advantage, like you get the raise, but then in
Mhm.
the same breath other things are going up. But if you
Yeah.
can find that finance to get the things that you want and do the things that you want, then
Mhm.
it shouldn't be more of the economy. It should be just a personal thing of, I shouldn't have never bought that drink. I should have just put the money in the bank because that was $19 I could have had in my pocket, right? Even though
Yeah.
$19 will come quick, it's still something that I could have controlled, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's one thing. And another thing is just take your I wish people would just take their mindset out of that poor quality mindset, right?
Mm. Mhm.
Because it's poor quality mindset when, and I could admit to it myself because I didn't know what Project 2025 was until they just said it tonight, and I'm like, oh wow, you really don't know politics like you think you do, because there's a whole project out there that you weren't aware of. So
Right.
that poor quality mindset on my part is, I would have just went down there willy-nilly, you know what I'm saying, going down there voting, putting my name on the ballot, not really
Mhm.
caring. I'm just
It's
going with the trend because it's a trend. Okay,
yeah. I just always did what my parents told me to do.
yeah, because Kamala is
You
the
know.
president. She's a woman. Let's go. And I'm not really
Mhm.
looking at the underlying things. So now when I go read Project 2025, I'm like, whoo, I dodged a bullet, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I have another I think people feel that way based on the moral compass. Unfortunately for me, Trump is not a man of good character or morals. He showed that
Mhm.
when he overturned Roe versus Wade. Okay,
Mm.
so let's go
Mhm.
to that. All right. So, we have daughters right now,
Yeah. We do.
and you're gonna be a grandma. Okay.
I'm the youngest grandmother there is. I still look
No,
good though.
honey, listen, it's 2024. They
I'm
getting
glam, ma. What they say, glam?
glam mom.
GLAM.
They're
Yes.
getting younger and younger. This is the time for it. Okay. So I was just like,
Mhm.
let me get myself ready, even though I'm not influencing that, but you never
Yeah.
tell. All right. So say for
Exactly.
instance, my daughter might have been in a situation where she was raped, right?
Mhm. It happens.
And she doesn't feel that the baby came out of love. What do you do with that? Do you force her to keep the baby? That's not a good future for the baby, because then she's in resilience, like she's in resentment, not resilient, resentment,
Yeah.
raising the child, right? And then
Yes.
this thing I heard that he has it to where you can carry the baby and abort them in the, was that his thing? Where you can abort them in the last term or
I don't know if it was his thing, but I did read that
mhm,
they're allowing I guess abortion
mhm,
in I guess the late time. I mean, back in the day, it was like after a certain cutoff period,
mhm,
because that baby has a heartbeat now. At that
mhm,
point, it's just like, ooh, So, but yeah, in cases where like whether she's raped or just it could be dealing with incest, it could be dealing with
mhm,
just anything. You should at the end of the day you should have a right to do whatever it is. I mean, if you want to throw yourself against a wall,
mhm,
you have a right to do that,
right,
because at the end of the day it is you, and
mhm,
no government, no person, nobody, no nothing should be able to tell you what you can or cannot do.
right,
Now that I am a true believer of, you
mhm,
know a lot of people say, oh, I don't believe in abortion. At the end of the day, if we would, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to certain circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what you would do when you are in that circumstance.
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, when you are feeling heavy up against the wall, when you are feeling like you have nowhere, you don't know exactly what you would do. I mean, there are people that are in jail right now for making a decision that they had no other choice to make but to save their own life. But
Mm-hmm.
they're reaping the benefits of this what is it? The I don't have all the words, but they're reaping the benefits that this was a judicial
Right.
system
Mm-hmm.
basically has put because of the laws or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like they had no choice. So unfortunately, we can't really say what we will or will not do until that situation happens.
Right, if you're in that
Nobody.
moment. Right. That's what I
Hmm.
was thinking too. I know Kenyatta said it's going to get real. He's about to
Yeah,
deport immigrants. That's another thing.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So
babies.
let's touch on that real quick. Okay. I can't really, because I
I
come
think I just cared. I'm just too kind. I think
right.
that's what my
I'm not
problem
voting
is
for
that
anyone.
I don't see an issue at this point. I don't know,
Right.
but that's just because of my lack of knowledge in that area. I think I'm just too kind. I'm like, let everybody come. You know, why
Right.
do I need a passport to go wherever I want to? You know, so in my mind,
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to get a passport.
Right.
I have to pay all this. I don't know. I don't even have a passport, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just too kind. So it's like if somebody wants to be here, I'm trying to get out of here. Come take
Right.
my spot.
That's what I was thinking. And I'm like
We swap.
coming from a parent that is from another country.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a little story to share, right?
Hmm.
So, guys, my cousin will
I
never
like
see this.
stories.
He's not on my page. She will never see this. My
It'd
other
be that,
family members
and it'd be
probably be
that
like,
moment
"Yeah," they're probably like, "They talking about you
at
on the
that time.
podcast." Right. So whatever. But I'm gonna just tell it because this is unplugged.
Hmm.
So my cousin had came from. Okay, let me read this one comment. I would have voted for anyone but Trump. I get it. And then she said the ninth month thing was not correct. That was part of his rhetoric. Oh, okay. Okay, I
Okay.
get it. Okay. So that's why I was thinking. I was like, was that a real thing? Hold on a second. Let me see. I'm trying to make sure I get all the comments. Uh Making sure. Okay. I'm making sure because sometimes I can't see everybody's comments. Okay. Let me let me see. Abortions are illegal. Some states are prosecuting if you do it. Oh Lord. That
Mm,
is crazy that you would force somebody to do. I don't
that's
know.
something.
I just don't feel like you should because that's a human life. Like that's almost like murder. Okay,
Yeah.
women are also not able to get DNCs, medical abortions. Being
Mm,
a person that
yeah.
has had to have one, that's something I definitely struggle with. Oh wow. I'm so sorry
That's
about
deep.
that, Ashley. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And I'm like, you see what I'm saying? You see how this fourth year brung on so much ugh. It's like it's
Yeah.
heavy. It's so heavy.
It really is because the thing is, it's very triggering.
Mhm.
You know, I think a lot of these subjects are very triggering because think
Mhm.
about it. I mean, I don't really condone abortions either, but it's one of those things where I also know that in situations where, you know, it's like it's almost it's like you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Right.
It's really hard to dictate anything. I the only thing I do believe in is the fact of free will, you know,
Mhm.
making your own decision and not having to, you know, be based on a system to
Right.
make the decision for
This
you. I think that's the only thing. And that goes for anything because, I mean, we can go far, even, I mean, honestly, even with the LGBT community,
mhm.
there's, you know, think about it. Only recently, a couple of years, they're able to have same-sex marriage. You
Right.
know, before you can't. It's like, how can you tell somebody that you can't love? You
Mhm.
know, you love who you love. You know, it's just, it's triggering. That's the thing about it is very triggering because again, everybody is going to have a viewpoint. But I think
Mhm.
again, even with the division of views,
Mhm.
is still something that should not be forced.
Right.
I
I
think
think
that's
so.
mainly the bottom line is that you can't.
Hmm.
I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your view. You're entitled to your beliefs,
Right. And what
everything,
you want to do,
you know.
right? Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you have to hurt somebody else in the standpoint. It doesn't mean that you have to, curse that person out because, at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with you. That's
Right.
them. You stick with your beliefs and what you want to do, you keep it over here. Talk to the people that share those common grounds, but doesn't mean that you have to force it over here, and y'all can still, we can all still be as one,
Right,
you know.
exactly. And that's how I feel. I just want everybody to be on the same page. Kiana said we all have to educate ourselves on what's going on and prepare ourselves for what may come. And that's a big
Yeah.
thing. Like with the whole immigration thing. Oh, let me touch back on that real quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, we don't.
So, because I have a comment here, I'm going to read that after I tell this immigration story. So, my cousin was here. This was way before COVID, way before I got to move to 757 area from the 804. Anybody know Richmond to Hampton?
Mhm.
So she had came into the country and she decided, I love America, I'm not going back. So I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, that means you're going to be a fugitive if you don't go back when you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And she didn't. She just stood on her grounds and she was just like, no, I'm not going back. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is not good.
Yeah.
So we got into an argument over something petty. And my first thing was thinking, yeah, well, they're gonna come. I think Trump was in office at this time. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember. No. Who was
Going to build
who
the
was our
wall.
president in 2018? Was it Trump? No, it wasn't Trump.
I think it was
It
Obama. I
was.
don't know.
I don't know, girl. It's
I
just
don't even know what year we're in right
been
now.
years. So anyway, I was telling her
No,
like
I
this
think
is
you're right.
yeah, he
Hold on,
was
because
right because I was
2020. Golly, I'm getting old.
isn't that crazy? So I was like, yeah,
It's just yesterday.
he's gonna deport you. So I
Yeah.
was threatening her like I'm calling ISIS. They're gonna come get, which was so wrong and immature of me. So I did, eventually we
But you were
squashed
also trying to save her at the same time.
right because I'm like, go back,
Yeah.
and she didn't. She ended up
Come
having
in at the
a
right.
baby. Right. She ended
Mhm.
up having a baby here.
Okay.
And then she ended up getting married to whoever.
Okay.
They spend a lot of time spending money into that. Y'all know how it go. I ain't going into it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, wow, I'm glad you did that because maybe if you didn't have that baby, then you wouldn't have been able, or what would have happened.
Yeah.
So with the whole immigration thing, because of what she did, I don't think it was right because my mom came from another country and she had to
Mhm.
go through the swearing in, the whole process of
Yeah.
studying the book, learning all 51 states, 50, at the
Yeah.
time it wasn't 51, I think it was just 50 states of the country, and had to do all this rigmarole just to get out of the green card status, right?
Right.
He had to
Mhm.
do all of that to become a citizen. And I thought it was wrong. Like, how do you just come over here and say you're not going back, and then all of a sudden you're a citizen because you just married some rinky dink and now you're in the country? So it just, when it comes to that, I just feel like, and she had all the benefits. She had everything. And I'm like, is
Mm.
nobody seeing what's going on? But in the country itself, you don't get help the way that you need. They get the help outside. Like I've seen people come from other areas and get
Yeah.
stores and businesses and they don't have to
Mhm.
work as hard. But
Yeah, they
us,
don't.
they don't. But here, yeah, that's crazy. But here in this country with us, we have to work hard for what we want. And it's kind of discouraging almost. So she said, I understand the idea to get rid of the abortions, but if mother doesn't want a kid, that child should that child will go into the
I know.
already overwhelmed system. I struggle with any abortion law when American can adopt kids in our country due to the cost. We definitely have to work of that first, or we'll just keep putting more kids in the system. That
Mm,
is so true.
I think so. That too.
That is so,
Yeah.
so true. That is definitely true. And it's a shame because, to be honest, I don't know if we living right over here. I don't know
Why not?
because really, can you really say that in this country we have morals, we have culture? We don't, right?
Mm-mm.
Unless you're coming from a household that is from a culture that's cultivated, that you have a household that do have morals. They go by certain things. But we don't have that. So we're just kind of just doing whatever we want, right?
We're spoiled.
Yeah, pretty much. I think so.
Yeah.
I think that we are definitely spoiled, and we're kind of in a situation where if we don't get our way, then it is what it is. Teresa,
Yeah.
sorry, autocorrect messed that up. Oh, did you want me to read it over? She said, I struggle with the abortion law when American kids, oh, okay, can adopt kids in our country due to the cost. We definitely, I don't
Believe
know.
it or not, I actually read it that way. I don't know, like
Okay.
even though it auto, that's how I interpreted what she was
Interpret
saying.
it right.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So, and then another thing is when they do adopt, we go through hell and back to adopt. Like, do you
Yeah.
know how much paperwork and so much stuff that we have to go through? Like, you have to live a pristine life. Like, your life have to be like up there. Like, you can't have
Hmm.
nothing. You can't even have like a doggone grain, like any rice grain in your teeth almost, because they're like, oh, you're doing this wrong. It's like you almost have to be pitch perfect to
Mm.
adopt a child. And I'm like, well, no one's perfect. Every household has its differences. Why are you putting me under the gun to give this
Yeah.
child a better life? So
Yeah.
then that's where you get the question of, well, I'm not even going to go that far or do all of that. I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of it.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
don't know, Lynette. I feel like it's murder when people do that, and that's my own belief.
I believe that too, actually.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, that's my belief as well. So,
Hmm.
mm, I
She,
tell you.
yeah, she said, "Okay, glad y'all could read it correctly." Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that we could too. I mean, this tonight was definitely needed. Because I just feel like we're messed up. We
Yeah,
have
we
half
are.
we have half the world that knows what's going on, half the world that don't, half the country that's educated, half the country that's not. This whole election to me was jacked up, just like it
Hmm.
was when he was, going through that. But like, I'm just being honest. She said, "Yikes." I'm just saying, we're just living in a thing where we're just going off of, I don't know. I feel like after that election, I was walking around like a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like a total zombie. I really did. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I mean, it was just like a halo over the country. Like, it was
Yeah.
so heavy. How can a decision like that make everybody feel the same way?
You know what? Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. It does. But you know what? This is what
Hmm.
I am thinking,
Hmm.
because even with all of the changes that are happening, and honestly, more changes are to come,
Hmm.
regardless of who's in the office. Either way, this world is definitely changing. We're thinking differently. Morals are changing. It's just changing.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things that I know is that even though the past few years have been challenging,
Hmm.
I also know that it's also shown us the power of collective action.
Right.
I feel that if we channel our emotions, and just put it into more constructive efforts, um, whether it's volunteering, educating ourselves, or
Hmm.
simply having conversations with, like I said, those friends around us, and just kind of coming together, I feel like we can inspire more change.
Hmm.
And I feel like our futures will be a little bit more clearer
Hmm.
if we come together and do that, and that's on either side, either
Right.
side. I feel like just more so just coming together. At the end of the day, that's pretty much what it's going to really come down to. We're
Yeah,
going to
it
have to be,
is.
we're going to have to come as one at one point.
And I wish that we can. And I hope
Yeah.
that this election period, this time that we're in, this fourth time, well, at least we don't have to worry about it again, because you can't be elected more than two times. So
Yeah.
for everyone that has this fight, you don't have
Change
to
the
deal
law.
with him anymore after this. It's only 4 years.
Yeah.
It goes by so fast, believe it or not. Um, hopefully we can all come together as a whole, like a whole country, a community, to help each
Right.
other more, because even through times like this is when we need each other, you know.
Yeah.
This is the time that we could come together and be, like you said, collective in our helping and doing different things, to just be a community versus being separate, because that's what they will want to do,
Yeah.
segregate us to make it easier for them, because
Hmm.
what's better than the country just going after each other, right?
Exactly.
So hopefully within these next 4 years, we don't have what we had the first time around, because that was a disaster, and
Yeah, it
that's what
was.
led us to go the other direction, right?
Hmm.
Because of all of that. Had he put out a good term when he was
Hmm.
president, maybe we
Hmm.
wouldn't have these thoughts
We
about,
just be more positive about things.
yeah,
Yeah,
and not in fear, because I feel like a lot of people are fearful too. They're very
yeah.
fearful.
When they
Uh,
get that power, it's just they just have to aid in fear. They have to. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm with you there.
yeah. So I'm hoping that this will make things better. Um, because again, people will start to be more proactive. So if he's on the TV and he's saying something stupid, just click the TV off.
Turn it off.
You don't gotta watch it. You're like,
I don't.
okay, there you go, being dumb again. So who cares? Whatever. You're used to it now. You know what to expect, right? So it's not
Yeah,
a
because it
shocker, because you know exactly who you're getting. And I think
exactly. Yeah,
another thing, a trust level. I mean, we haven't seen
yeah.
Kamala.
It, but you know what? You're actually bringing up a good point. I think
Yeah.
that sometimes it's like the lesser of two evils. Basically, it's like okay, we already know what he's going to be. So sometimes and think about it. Kamala wasn't even running at first.
Mm-mm.
She just dropped in there.
Yeah.
He resigned and she just came up. So it was literally like it was nothing that built us. It was just like she just kind of plopped right
Hmm.
there. So
Like,
yeah,
who is she? Like, who is she?
yeah, I
Right?
didn't.
I
Yeah,
don't know her. Who is she? So
hmm,
that, I think a lot of it came with trust or just whatever. But
yeah,
before, look, that I told you that hour was going to go by so quick, girl.
hmm,
So before, thank you so much for coming on our show tonight, Lynette. It was so great to have you. You did touch on some really good points. You had great responses, because I just be willy nilly all over. Said, Google her, sis. She said Google her. So that's why I was just like, and for me, you gave me a good standpoint, and so did our viewers tonight. They
hmm,
actually got to share how they feel about things. And just to be honest with you, everybody has an opinion, right?
hmm.
It's just up to you to respect it. I don't feel any different about anybody.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I love you still the same. That's just your opinion. Do you have
Hmm.
anything you want to close with before we end the night?
I just wanted to just say thank you again for having me. This has definitely been a breath of fresh air. I enjoyed it. It looks like my kids enjoyed it, even though I told them to stay in their room. But they're kids.
Right. Gotta see what
you
mommy's
know.
doing. It's too much like
Yes,
right.
exactly. So again, I just appreciate you allowing me. So I feel very honored. So
Yeah.
hopefully again I can come here again. So.
And you definitely will. We have other shows. And anyone that's tuning in, our next show is The Untold Truth of the Black Community.
Mm.
So that's going to be a
Mhm,
really
mhm.
heavy show. So
Yeah.
bring your tissues, whatever you got to bring. My co-hosts do have some
Get your
stories.
boxing gloves because you
Yes,
may want to punch
everything.
something.
Okay, you never know. But yeah, that's some things that we're going to touch on. So that show is definitely going to be a heavy, heavy show. So I hope that everyone that is watching tonight will be able to tune in. I thank you so much for logging on tonight. I really appreciate it. Um, Ashley said this was great. Thank you. You're welcome, honey. And Tamara, hey boo. She said, God is good from beginning to end, no election needed. Exactly. Now, there is a standpoint right there, because at the end of the day, he's in control,
Hmm.
whatever your beliefs are. So I thank you. And I thank you to everyone that continue to support my platform. You make it happen every show, and I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have been unplugged. Have a wonderful night. See y'all.
Bye,